The Great Hall of the Galactic Council stretched wider than most city centers. Tall beings from 100 different worlds sat in their floating chairs, their voices creating a soft buzz of conversation. Today was different, though. Today they had something to laugh about. Ambassador Vexhan stepped up to the speaking platform. His blue skin glowed softly under the lights, and his forearms moved with grace as he opened the data pad. The crowd grew quiet, waiting to hear what he had to say. Council members, Vexhan began, his voice smooth like flowing water. We have received another request for membership. This one comes from a species that calls itself humanity. A few soft chuckles came from the crowd. New species always thought they were ready to join the council. Most of them were not. The interesting part, Vexhan continued, is where these humans come from. He touched his data pad, and a hologram appeared above his head. It showed a blue and green planet spinning in space. The planet looked peaceful enough from far away, but the data that appeared next to it told a different story. This is Earth, Vexhan said, the humans' homeworld. According to our scans, it is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld. The soft chuckling stopped. Several council members sat up straighter in their chairs. A Class 12 Deathworld was not something to joke about. It was something to stay far away from. High Counselor Thisara leaned forward. Her crystal body caught the light and threw rainbow colors across the walls. A Class 12? Are you certain? Very certain, Vexhan replied. He touched his pad again. Let me share the details with you. More data appeared in the hologram. Numbers and charts floated in the air like angry red warnings. Earth spins so fast that it creates massive storms, Vexhan read. These storms can reach speeds of over 300 kilometers per hour. The planet's surface temperature changes by more than 50 degrees in a single-day cycle. In some areas, it drops low enough to freeze the atmosphere solid. In others, it gets hot enough to melt metal. Council member Zorthak whistled through his breathing tubes. His green tentacles curled with worry. That would kill most species in hours. It gets worse, Vexhan said with a smile. Earth's star sends out deadly radiation. Without protection, this radiation would burn through skin and destroy internal organs in minutes. The planet has almost no magnetic field to protect it. Impossible, called out Senator Rilvan from the Peaceful Worlds. No life could survive that, Vexhan nodded. But wait, there is more. Earth's atmosphere is 21% oxygen. Gasps echoed through the hall. Oxygen was one of the most dangerous gases in the galaxy. It ate through metal, burned organic matter, and caused rapid aging in most life forms. A few species could handle small amounts of it, but 21% was deadly poison. The humans breathe this, Vexhan continued. Not only do they breathe it, they need it to live. Their entire biology is based on controlled oxygen burning inside their bodies. Admiral Korthvan stood up from his seat. His red armor clinked as he moved. That is not possible. Oxygen burning would destroy cellular structure. These humans would be dead in days. According to our data, they live for over 70 local years, Vexhan replied. The hall grew very quiet. Council members looked at each other with confused expressions. Vexhan was enjoying himself now. But the most interesting part is Earth's gravity. It is nearly 10 times stronger than standard council gravity. Most of us would be crushed flat on that world. Our bones would break, our organs would shut down, and we would die within hours. Dr. Quillith, the council's chief scientist, spoke up. These readings must be wrong. Life cannot evolve under such conditions. The energy cost alone would be impossible to maintain. Perhaps, Vexhan said, but our probe data is very clear. Earth is covered with life. Plants, animals, and supposedly intelligent beings called humans. They claim to have built cities, developed technology, and even achieved spaceflight. Laughter erupted from several council members. Spaceflight? Thisara's crystal voice rang with amusement. From a death world? These readings must be from old automated systems. Perhaps some kind of joke program left by a previous survey team. That is what I thought too. Vexhan agreed. But the humans have sent us messages. They want to join the Galactic Council. They want to trade with us and share their knowledge. He touched his pad one more time. A recording began to play. The voice was rough and strange, nothing like the smooth tones of civilized species. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Command, the voice said. We come in peace, seeking friendship and cooperation with the Galactic Council. We offer our knowledge and resources in exchange for membership and the chance to learn from your great civilization. The recording ended. The hall was silent for a moment. Then Admiral Korthvan burst out laughing. They think they have resources to offer us. What could beings from a death world possibly have that we need? Maybe they developed good burial techniques, called out someone from the back of the hall. More laughter followed. Or perhaps they know how to die quickly, added another voice. Vexhan held up his hands for quiet. The question before us is simple. Do we waste time investigating this obvious hoax? Or do we simply deny their request and move on to real business? This is clearly impossible, said Dr. Quillith. No species can evolve on a Class 12 death world. The energy requirements alone would prevent complex life from forming. These humans, if they exist at all, must be some kind of artificial constructs or perhaps a very elaborate joke. High Counselor Thisera stood up. Her crystal body sang a soft note as she moved. I agree with Dr. Quillith. This application is clearly fraudulent. No biological life form could survive the conditions described. The Council's time is too valuable to waste on investigating obvious impossibilities. I second that motion, called out Admiral Korthvan. My fleet has better things to do than chase ghosts from death worlds. All in favor of denying Earth's application for Council membership? Thisara asked. Hands, tentacles, and other appendages rose throughout the hall. The vote was unanimous. Motion carried, Thisara announced. Earth's application is denied due to the impossibility of the claims made. The records will note that no biological species can survive on a Class 12 death world, and any future applications from Earth will be automatically rejected. As the Council members began to file out, their conversations were light and amused. Humans, chuckled Senator Rilvan to his aide. What will they think of next? Perhaps next they will claim to have tamed their death world, replied the aide. Or maybe they will say they actually enjoy living there, added Dr. Quillith. Overhearing them, the three beings laughed together as they walked toward the exit. Behind them, the hologram of Earth still spun slowly in the air. The blue and green world looked so peaceful from space. None of them noticed the small white dots moving around the planet. The dots were too small to see clearly in the hologram. But if they had looked more closely, they might have wondered what those moving white dots were. They were space stations. Human space stations, full of humans who were very much alive. And those humans were not very happy about being laughed at. 3 months passed after the Council rejected Earth's membership request. The galaxy continued as it always had, with trade ships moving between peaceful worlds and diplomats settling small disputes with words instead of weapons. Admiral Korthovan was reviewing reports in his command center when the alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed across the bridge of his flagship, the Stellar Dominance. His crew moved quickly to their stations. Report, Korthvan ordered, his red armor gleaming under the emergency lights. Sir, his sensor officer called out. We have unknown ships entering the Kepler border zone. They just dropped out of hyperspace. Korthvan frowned. The Kepler border zone was empty space between Council territory and the outer rim. Nothing important was out there. How many ships? 12, sir. Small craft, unknown design. They are broadcasting a message on standard diplomatic channels. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life. A human face appeared, surrounded by strange metal walls and blinking lights. The being had pale skin, short dark hair, and eyes that looked directly at the camera. It was wearing some kind of blue and white uniform. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Defiance, the human said. We are here for peaceful contact with the Galactic Council. We request permission to approach and establish diplomatic relations. Korthovan stared at the screen. The voice was the same one from the recording months ago. But that was impossible. The Council had determined that humans could not exist. Sir, his communications officer whispered. What should we do? Korthvan thought for a moment. This had to be some kind of trick. Perhaps another species was using artificial constructs to play a joke on the Council. Or maybe it was a test of some kind. Open communications, he ordered. The human's face focused on him. Admiral, thank you for responding. We come in peace and hope to establish friendly relations with your people. I am Admiral Korthvan of the Corvan Empire, he replied. What you claim to be is impossible. There are no humans. No biological species can survive on Earth. Surrender your AI cores for examination. The human tilted its head slightly. I'm sorry, Admiral, but I don't understand. We are humans from Earth. We are very much alive. Impossible, Korthovan said firmly. You are artificial constructs or perhaps advanced holograms. Your supposed home world is a Class 12 death world. Nothing lives there. Something changed in the human's expression. The eyes became harder, colder. "Admiral, with respect, we know what we are. We know where we come from. And we are not artificial constructs. Prove it," Korthvin challenged. "Submit to scanning. Allow us to board your vessels and examine your technology." "We came here for peaceful contact," the human replied. "But we will not surrender our ships or our people for examination like specimens in a laboratory." Korthvin's patience was running out. "Then you admit you are not what you claim to be." "We admit nothing except that we are here to talk, not to be dissected by beings who think they know better than we do about our own existence." The Admiral stood up from his command chair. This joke had gone far enough. "I am ordering you to surrender immediately. Your charade ends now." The human was quiet for several seconds. When she spoke again, her voice was different, colder, more dangerous. "Admiral Korthvin, we came here hoping to make friends. We wanted to join your council and learn from your civilizations. But it seems you have already decided what we are without bothering to listen to what we say." "Because what you say is impossible," Korthvin replied. "Many things are impossible until they happen," the human said. "We will withdraw now and report to our government that the Galactic Council prefers assumptions to facts." The screen went dark. Korthvin turned to his sensor officer. "Are they leaving?" "No, sir. They are holding position at the edge of the border zone. Then we will make them leave." Korthvin activated his fleet communications. "All ships, this is the Admiral. We have unknown constructs claiming to be from a Deathworld. Prepare for enforcement action. We will disable one of their vessels as an example." 60 ships of the Corvin 7th Fleet began moving toward the human vessels. The Stellar Dominance led the formation, its massive hull bristling with weapons. Each Corvin ship was larger than all the human vessels combined. "Target the smallest human ship," Korthvin ordered. "Minimum power. We want to disable it, not destroy it. These constructs might have valuable technology. Target locked, sir." "Fire." A beam of energy shot out from the Stellar Dominance. It was a precise shot, designed to overload the target's power systems without causing permanent damage. The beam struck the human vessel directly. Nothing happened. The human ship continued flying as if it had not been hit at all. "Sensor officer," Korthvin called out. "Did we miss?" "No, sir." "Direct hit confirmed. But the target shows no damage. Impossible." "Fire again." "Full power this time." Another beam struck the human ship. This one was strong enough to cut through a small asteroid. The human vessel shook slightly but kept flying. Then something unexpected happened. The human ship fired back. A stream of small objects shot out from the human vessel toward the Stellar Dominance. They were moving incredibly fast, but they were just chunks of metal. Not energy beams or plasma bolts like civilized weapons, just metal. The chunks of metal hit the Stellar Dominance's shields and passed right through them. They struck the hull and kept going. Alarms began sounding throughout the ship. "Damage report," Korthvin shouted. "Sir, we have hull breaches on decks 15 through 20. The projectiles went completely through the ship. Emergency force fields are containing the atmosphere loss." Korthvin stared at his displays. The humans were using kinetic weapons, actual physical objects thrown at high speed. It was the most primitive form of warfare imaginable. Council species had stopped using such weapons thousands of years ago because they were crude and inefficient. But inefficient did not mean ineffective. "All ships. Evasive maneuvers," Korthvin ordered. "Return fire, full power." The space around the human fleet lit up with energy beams and plasma bolts. The Corvin ships were firing everything they had. But the human vessels were moving in ways that made no sense. They spun and rolled like atmospheric fighters. They accelerated in directions that should have been impossible. They moved like living things instead of machines. "Sir," his navigation officer called out. "The human ships are pulling maneuvers that would generate over 40 gravities of acceleration. That should kill any organic crew instantly." Through his communication system, Korthvin could hear transmissions from the human ships, voices of the crew members talking to each other during the battle. "Hull breach in Section 7. Nothing we can't handle. Reactor temperature is high but still in the green. Artificial gravity is offline. Everyone switch to magnetic boots. Medical team to Deck 4. We have some injuries from that last hit. Injuries, not deaths. Injuries from direct hits that would have vaporized most species." More human ships began firing. Their weapons were all kinetic, all primitive. But they worked. Corvin vessels began reporting serious damage. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, We are receiving a transmission from the humans. Put it through. Captain Chen's face appeared on the screen again. But now she was wearing a helmet and there were sparks flying behind her. Admiral Korthovan, she said, we did not want this fight. But since you started it, we will finish it. Last chance to stop this and talk like civilized beings. You are not civilized, Korthovan replied. You are using primitive weapons and impossible maneuvers. What are you? The human smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. We are exactly what we told you we were, she said. We are humans from Earth, and Earth taught us to survive anything. The transmission ended. Around the stellar dominance, more Corvan ships were taking damage. The human vessels moved like deadly dancers, avoiding most shots and returning fire with those terrible kinetic weapons. Within an hour, Admiral Korthovan gave the order he never thought he would have to give. All ships retreat to hyperspace. Immediate withdrawal. As his damaged fleet fled toward Council space, Korthovan stared at the tactical display. He had lost 48 ships. The humans had lost none, and they were still broadcasting on diplomatic frequencies, asking to talk. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was called within hours of Admiral Korthovan's return. Every major species in the galaxy sent representatives. The Great Hall was fuller than it had been in decades. High Counselor Thisara stood at the center podium, her crystal body no longer singing with amusement. The rainbow lights she usually cast were dim and worried. We are here, she announced, to discuss the impossible. Admiral Korthovan walked slowly to the speaking platform. His red armor was dented and scarred. Repair patches covered several sections where human weapons had punched through his flagship's hull. 3 days ago, he began, I led the 7th Fleet to investigate unknown vessels in the border zone. These vessels claimed to be human ships from Earth. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Everyone knew that Earth was a death world. Everyone knew that nothing could live there. I ordered the ships to surrender for inspection, Korthovan continued. When they refused, I ordered a demonstration of force. We fired on the smallest vessel with minimum power, expecting to disable it quickly. He paused, looking around the hall at the faces of beings from 100 worlds. The human ship was not damaged. It fired back with kinetic weapons, simple metal projectiles moving at incredible speed. These primitive weapons went through our shields like they were not there. Dr. Quillith stood up from his seat. His tentacles were curled with confusion. That is impossible, Admiral. Our shields are designed to stop all known weapons. Kinetic projectiles should not penetrate them. I know what should and should not work, Doctor, Korthovan replied. But I also know what I saw. Human weapons punched holes through my flagship. My crew barely escaped with their lives. Senator Rilvan leaned forward. How many human ships were there? 12. And how many ships did you have? Korthovan's voice became very quiet. 60. Shocked silence filled the hall. The Corvan 7th Fleet was one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. The idea that 12 primitive ships could fight it was unthinkable. How many human ships were destroyed? Asked Ambassador Vexhan. None. How many Corvan ships were lost? Korthovan closed his eyes. 48. The silence became deeper. Council members looked at each other with expressions of fear and confusion. Dr. Quillith activated his personal data pad and projected information into the air above his head. I have been studying the data from Admiral Korthovan's sensors. The readings are disturbing. Charts and numbers appeared in glowing letters. The human ships moved in ways that violate basic physics. They generated acceleration forces that should have killed any biological crew. Yet we recorded audio transmissions of humans talking calmly during the battle. He touched his pad, and recordings began to play. Reactor temperature nominal at 4,000 Kelvin. Hull breach sealed. Just a scratch. Switching to backup oxygen. Should have enough for another 6 hours. Minor radiation leak in Sector 9. Nothing we can't handle. Dr. Quillith turned off the recordings. 4,000 Kelvin is hot enough to melt most metals. A hull breach in space should kill everyone in that section immediately. Radiation leaks are deadly to all known species. Yet the humans spoke about these things like they were minor inconveniences. Xenobiologist Rilthak stood up next. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence as he spoke. I have analyzed the biological data we collected about humans. If the information is correct, they are the most dangerous life form in the galaxy. New charts appeared in the air. Human biology is based on controlled combustion. They burn oxygen inside their cells for energy. This process creates toxic waste products that would poison most species. Humans not only survive this, they require it. He pointed to a diagram of human anatomy. Their blood contains iron, liquid metal flowing through their bodies. Their bones are made of calcium compounds that are stronger than many artificial materials. Their skin secretes acid to cool their bodies. Ambassador Zorthak whistled through his breathing tubes. They sound like biological weapons. It gets worse, Rilthak continued. Humans appear to require stress to remain healthy. Without gravity, their bones become weak. Without resistance, their muscles shrink. Without challenge, they become depressed and sick. You are describing creatures that cannot exist, protested Senator Rilvan. Yet they do exist. Admiral Korthvin said quietly, I have seen them. I have fought them. And they defeated the best fleet in the galaxy using weapons that should not work and maneuvers that should kill them. High Counselor Thisara spoke up. Dr. Quillith, what is your scientific assessment of these beings? The doctor was quiet for a long moment. If the data is accurate, humans are the result of evolution on a world so hostile that only the strongest, most adaptable life forms could survive. They have been shaped by constant danger, extreme conditions, and deadly competition. In other words, Thisara said, they are living Deathworld creatures. Yes, every human is essentially a mobile survival system designed to function in conditions that would kill us. They do not just come from a Deathworld. They are Deathworld entities. Defense Minister Korth stood up from his seat. His scaled hide was pale with fear. What does this mean for the galaxy? It means, Admiral Korthvin replied, that we are no longer the dominant military force in this region of space. If humans choose to expand their territory, there may be nothing we can do to stop them. How many of them are there? Asked Ambassador Vexhan. Dr. Quillith checked his datapad. According to their transmissions, Earth has approximately 8 billion humans. The hall erupted in panicked voices. 8 billion Deathworld entities was an army larger than most species' entire populations. Order! Order! Thisara called out, her crystal voice ringing through the noise. We must think rationally about this situation. When the hall became quiet, she continued. The question before us is simple. What do we do about humanity? We could try to destroy them before they become a larger threat, suggested Defense Minister Korth. With what? Admiral Korthvin asked. They defeated my fleet easily. How many ships would it take to destroy 8 billion of them on a Deathworld we cannot even approach? We could try to contain them, offered Ambassador Zorthak. Set up blockades to prevent them from expanding. They already have interstellar travel, Rilthak pointed out. If they wanted to expand, they could probably do it faster than we could set up defenses. Senator Rilvan raised his hand. Has anyone considered that they might not want to conquer us? The hall grew quiet. What do you mean? Thisara asked. Think about their actions, Rilvan said. They came to us asking for membership in the council. They wanted to trade and share knowledge. They only fought when Admiral Korthvin attacked them first. That is true, Korthvin admitted. They did try to communicate. I was the one who ordered the attack. So maybe, Rilvan continued, they really do want to be our allies, not our conquerors. Dr. Quillith shook his head. They are biological weapons shaped by millions of years of survival on a Deathworld. Peace is not in their nature. But they asked for peace, Rilvan pointed out. They came to us with diplomatic requests, not invasion fleets. The debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted to prepare for war. Others wanted to try diplomacy. A few suggested hiding and hoping the humans would ignore them. Finally, High Counselor Thisara called for quiet. We need more information, she declared. We cannot make decisions based on fear and speculation. I propose that we send a diplomatic mission to the humans. That could be suicide, warned Defense Minister Korth. Perhaps, Thisara replied, but we need to know what they truly want. Are they conquerors or potential allies? We will never know unless we ask them. The vote was close, but the motion passed. A small diplomatic ship would be sent to contact the humans. As the council members filed out of the hall, their conversations were worried and uncertain. For the first time in galactic history, they had encountered something they did not understand and could not control. Somewhere in the border zone, 12 human ships continued to broadcast messages of peace and friendship. But now, everyone knew that those messages came from beings who could destroy fleets and survive in hell itself. The question was, what did such beings really want? Ambassador Thisara stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Peaceful Dawn as it approached the human fleet. Her crystal body was dim with nervousness. This was the most dangerous diplomatic mission in galactic history. "Ambassador," called the ship's captain, "we are receiving a transmission from the humans." "Put it through." Captain Sarah Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired but alert. Behind her, Thisara could see other humans working at strange control panels covered with buttons and switches instead of the smooth touch surfaces that civilized species used. "Ambassador Thisara," Chen said with a slight smile, "welcome. We have been hoping someone would come to talk." "Captain Chen," Thisara replied carefully, "I am here to discuss the possibility of peaceful relations between our peoples." "That is all we have ever wanted," Chen said. "Permission to come aboard your ship?" "I think it would be better to talk face to face." Thisara hesitated. Letting a Deathworld entity onto her ship seemed incredibly dangerous. But if they were going to have real negotiations, they would need to trust each other eventually. "Permission granted, Captain." 20 minutes later, Captain Chen stepped through the airlock. She was wearing what appeared to be a simple blue uniform with no protective equipment at all. The atmospheric conditions on the diplomatic ship were safe for most Council species, but they included trace amounts of chemicals that should have been toxic to biological life. Chen walked normally, breathed normally, and showed no signs of discomfort. "Thank you for agreeing to meet," she said, extending her hand. Thisara had researched human customs. She knew this was called a handshake, but touching a Deathworld entity seemed incredibly risky. Still, diplomacy required some risks. She extended one of her crystal appendages toward Chen's hand. The moment they touched, Thisara was shocked. Chen's hand was warm. Not just warm, but hot enough to be painful to most species. Yet Chen showed no discomfort at touching Thisara's much cooler crystal surface. "Your ship is beautiful," Chen said, looking around the diplomatic chamber. "We have heard stories about Council architecture, but seeing it in person is amazing." They sat down at the negotiation table. Thisara activated her recording devices. "Captain Chen," she began, "I must be direct. Your species terrifies the Galactic Council." Chen's expression became more serious. "Why?" "Because you should not exist. You come from a world that kills everything. Your biology is based on processes that are toxic to most life. You defeated one of our most powerful fleets using primitive weapons. You survive in conditions that would kill us in minutes." Chen was quiet for several seconds. "Ambassador, may I ask you a question?" "Of course. What kind of world do you come from?" Thisara was surprised by the question. "My homeworld, Crystalla, is a peaceful place. The temperature varies by only a few degrees throughout the year. We have no dangerous weather, no predators, no natural disasters. Our evolution was guided by cooperation and harmony." "That sounds wonderful," Chen said. "And what about the other Council species?" "Similar conditions mostly. The galaxy is full of worlds where life can develop safely and peacefully." Chen nodded slowly. "So you all evolved on worlds where survival was easy." "I would not say easy, but yes, relatively safe compared to most planets." "And now you meet humans," Chen said, "who evolved on a world where survival was never safe. Never easy, never guaranteed." "Exactly. That is why you terrify us." Chen leaned back in her chair. "Ambassador, can I tell you about Earth?" "Please do." "Earth tries to kill us every day. The weather can change from freezing to burning in a few hours. We have storms that can level cities, earthquakes that split the ground open, volcanoes that bury entire regions in ash. The very air we breathe is corrosive. Our star sends radiation that causes cancer. Gravity is so strong it breaks our bones if we are not careful." Thisara listened quietly. "But Earth also gave us something," Chen continued. "It taught us to adapt, to overcome, to never give up. Every challenge made us stronger. Every disaster taught us to build better. Every threat forced us to become more clever, more resourceful, more determined. You sound like you are grateful to live on such a horrible world." Chen smiled. "In a way we are. Earth made us who we are, and who are you? We are survivors, Ambassador. We are problem solvers. We are beings who look at impossible situations and find ways to make them possible." Thisara considered this. "The Council fears that you are conquerors, that you will take our peaceful worlds by force." "Why would we do that?" Chen asked. "Because you are stronger than us." "Because you can." Chen shook her head. "Ambassador, we did not become strong to hurt others. We became strong to protect ourselves and the things we care about." We want to join the Council because we believe in cooperation. We want to learn from your peaceful civilizations. But you defeated Admiral Korthavin's fleet. Only after he attacked us first, Chen replied. We came in peace. We asked to talk. He chose to shoot instead of listen. Still, the fact remains that you destroyed 48 warships. Chen's expression became sad. Yes, we did. And we regret that. Every ship that was destroyed had crew members on it. People with families, friends, hopes, and dreams. We do not take pleasure in causing death. Then why did you fight so effectively? Because Earth taught us that if someone tries to kill you, you do everything in your power to stop them. Not because we enjoy violence, but because we want to live. Thaisara was beginning to understand. You fight only when you must, exactly. We prefer to build rather than destroy. We prefer to heal rather than harm. But if someone threatens us or the people we care about, we will fight with everything we have. And your weapons? Why are they so primitive yet so effective? Chen laughed, and the sound was not unpleasant. They are effective because they are primitive. Your shields are designed to stop energy weapons and plasma bolts. They were not designed to stop chunks of metal moving at incredible speed. But why do you still use such old technology? Because it works, Chen said simply. On Earth, we learned not to throw away something that works just because something else looks more advanced. Sometimes the simple solution is the best solution. Thaisara thought about this. Council species had always assumed that more advanced meant better. But the humans had proven that assumption wrong. Captain Chen, she said, what do humans really want from the Galaxy Council? We want to learn, Chen replied. Your species have achieved things we can barely imagine. Art, music, philosophy, science, peaceful cooperation between different worlds. These are treasures we would love to share. And what would you offer in return? Chen was quiet for a moment. We would offer our protection. Protection from what? From anything that threatens the peace you have built. Ambassador, your civilizations are wonderful, but they are also fragile. You have lived in safety for so long that you have forgotten how to deal with real danger. What kind of dangers? Think about it, Chen said. What happens when the Council encounters something truly hostile? Something that cannot be reasoned with or negotiated with? Something that wants to destroy everything you have built? Thaisara felt a chill run through her crystal body. We have never faced such a threat. But someday you might. When that day comes, you will need allies who know how to fight impossible odds. You will need people who cannot be broken, who will not surrender, who will stand between the darkness and everything you hold dear. And humans would do this? We would, Chen said firmly. Not because we love war, but because we love peace. Earth taught us that peace is precious because it is fragile. Someone has to be willing to protect it. Thaisara sat back in her chair thinking. The humans were offering to be the galaxy's guardians, the Council's shield against threats they could not handle themselves. But why would you risk yourselves for species you barely know? Chen smiled again. Because that is what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. We stand up to bullies. We help the weak and defend the innocent. It is part of who we are, even if it costs you your lives. Especially then, Chen replied. Ambassador, there are things more important than individual survival. Family, friendship, justice, freedom, the right of others to live in peace. Humans will die for these things if necessary. Thaisara realized something. The Council had been looking at humans as a threat when they were actually offering to be protectors. Captain Chen, she said slowly, I think I need to report back to the Council. This conversation has given me much to think about. Of course, Ambassador. We will wait here for your decision. As Thaisara prepared to leave, she had one more question. Captain, are all humans like you? Chen grinned, and for the first time, Thaisara saw something almost frightening in that expression. Ambassador, I am one of the peaceful ones. If you really want to see what humans can be, wait until you meet our Marines. The thought sent another chill through Thaisara's crystal form. If Captain Chen was one of the peaceful humans, what were the others like? As her ship headed back to Council space, Thaisara had a lot to think about. The galaxy was about to change, and she was not sure if that was terrifying or wonderful. Maybe it was both. The Council chamber was packed. Every seat was filled, and additional observers stood along the walls. The entire galaxy wanted to hear what Ambassador Thaisara had learned about the humans. Thaisara walked to the center podium. Her crystal body was brighter than usual, filled with the energy of excitement and concern. She had spent days thinking about her conversation with Captain Chen. Council members, she began. I have spoken with the humans. What I learned has changed my understanding of what they are and what they want. High Counselor Thisara leaned forward from her elevated seat. Tell us everything, Ambassador. The humans are exactly what they claim to be, Thisara said. They are biological entities from Earth, a Class 12 Deathworld. But they are not the monsters we feared them to be. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Dr. Quillith stood up. How can beings from such a hostile world not be dangerous? Oh, they are dangerous, Thisara replied. Make no mistake about that. They are perhaps the most dangerous species in the galaxy, but they are dangerous in the way that a guard dog is dangerous. They will fight to protect, not to conquer. She activated her holographic display, showing images from her meeting with Captain Chen. I spoke with their captain, Sarah Chen, for several hours. She explained their world to me. Earth does not just have hostile conditions. Earth actively tries to kill everything that lives on it. Every day, every hour, every moment is a struggle for survival. Senator Rilvan raised his hand. Then how do they survive? By becoming the kind of beings who cannot be killed easily, Thisara answered. Their bodies burn oxygen for fuel. Their blood contains liquid metal. Their bones are stronger than our building materials. They cool themselves with acid sweat. That still sounds terrifying, called out Ambassador Zorthak. It should, Thisara replied. But here is what I learned. Humans did not become strong to hurt others. They became strong to survive their world and protect the things they love. She changed the hologram to show recordings of her conversation with Chen. I asked Captain Chen what humans want from us. Do you know what she said? The hall was quiet, waiting. She said they want to learn from us. Our art, our science, our philosophy, our peaceful cooperation. She said these things are treasures to them. And what do they offer in return? Asked Defense Minister Korth. Thisara took a deep breath. Protection. Protection from what? Dr. Quillith demanded. From anything that threatens the peace we have built, Thisara replied. Captain Chen pointed out something we have not considered. We have lived in safety for so long that we have forgotten how to deal with real threats. She let that thought sink in before continuing. What happens when we encounter something that cannot be negotiated with? Something that wants to destroy our civilizations? Something that sees our peaceful nature as weakness? Admiral Korthvin, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. We would be defenseless. Exactly, Thisara said. But humans would not be. They know how to fight impossible odds. They know how to survive when everything seems hopeless. They know how to win when victory should be impossible. You are saying they want to be our military force, High Counselor Thisara observed. Not exactly, the ambassador replied. They want to be our guardians. There is a difference. A military conquers. Guardians protect. She changed the hologram again, showing data about human society. I have studied their transmissions and cultural information. Humans have a concept they call heroes. These are individuals who risk their own lives to save others. Not for profit, not for power, but simply because it is the right thing to do. That sounds impossible, protested Senator Rilvan. Why would anyone risk their life for strangers? Because that is how humans think, Thisara explained. They believe that some things are more important than individual survival. They will die to protect children, to defend the innocent, to preserve freedom and justice. The hall was very quiet now. Most council species found the idea of voluntary self-sacrifice difficult to understand. But the most important thing I learned, Thisara continued, is why humans came to us in the first place. She paused for dramatic effect. They are alone. For all their strength, for all their ability to survive anything, they are the only intelligent species from their world. They have spent their entire history dreaming about meeting other intelligent life. They want friends, not subjects. They want to be part of something larger than themselves. Dr. Quillith frowned. If they are so powerful, why do they need us? Because power is not everything, Thisara replied. Humans are incredibly strong, but they recognize that strength alone cannot create a perfect civilization. They want to learn from our thousands of years of peaceful cooperation. They want to add our wisdom to their strength. High Counselor Thisara stood up. Ambassador, in your opinion, should we accept humanity into the council? Thisara looked around the hall at the faces of representatives from 100 worlds. These were good beings who had built something wonderful in the galaxy. They deserved protection from anything that might threaten their achievements. Yes, she said firmly. We should accept them immediately. Why? Asked Defense Minister Korth. Because someday we will need them, Thisara replied. The galaxy is a dangerous place. We have been fortunate to avoid major threats so far, but that luck will not last forever. When the time comes that we face something truly dangerous, we will be grateful to have allies who cannot be defeated. And if they turn against us? Senator Rilvan asked. Then we would be doomed anyway, Admiral Korthvin said quietly. If humans wanted to conquer us, they could probably do it whether they are council members or not. At least this way we have a chance to become their friends instead of their enemies. The debate continued for hours, but gradually the mood shifted. Fear was replaced by curiosity. Suspicion was replaced by hope. The idea of having guardians who could protect the council's peaceful way of life began to appeal to many members. Finally, High Counselor Thisara called for a vote. All in favor of granting humanity membership in the Galactic Council? Hands, tentacles, and various appendages rose throughout the hall. This time the vote was unanimous in the opposite direction. Motion carried, the High Counselor announced. Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and privileges thereof. 3 days later, Captain Sarah Chen stood in the same chamber where humanity had been laughed at months earlier. But now she was wearing the formal blue and gold uniform of a council member, and the atmosphere was very different. Captain Chen, High Counselor Thisara said, on behalf of the Galactic Council, welcome to our civilization. Chen smiled as she signed the membership documents. Thank you, High Counselor. This is a dream come true for humanity. We have much to learn from each other, Thisara replied. Your strength and our wisdom together will make the galaxy a better place. Chen looked up at the assembled representatives. I want everyone to know that Earth's children will never forget this welcome. From this day forward, you will never need to fear any threat alone. Wherever darkness rises, wherever evil threatens the innocent, wherever bullies try to destroy the peace you have built, humans will be there to stand against it. Her voice became more serious. We offer you our protection, not as conquerors or rulers, but as friends who have learned that the most important battles are fought not for glory or gain, but to defend the right of good people to live in peace. Ambassador Vexhan stood up from his seat. Captain Chen, I must ask, we have heard that you are one of the peaceful humans. What are your warriors like? Chen's smile became something that sent a small chill through the chamber. Ambassador, our warriors are like us but more focused. They have sworn oaths to protect others at any cost. They train their entire lives for battle. They consider death in defense of innocence to be the highest honor possible. She paused, letting that sink in. But you will probably never see them unless something threatens the council. They prefer to remain in the background, watching, waiting, ready to respond to any danger. And they would really die for species they have never met? Tiger Quillith asked. Without hesitation, Chen replied. That is what makes them heroes. As the ceremony concluded and the representatives began to file out, their conversations were excited and hopeful. For the first time in galactic history, they had allies who could face any threat. Ambassador Thisara approached Chen as the crowd thinned. Captain, I have one final question. You laughed at the Deathworld when we first rejected your application. What do you think of us now? Chen considered the question carefully. Ambassador, you were not wrong to be afraid of us. We are dangerous. But you were wise enough to look beyond your fear and see what we really are. That gives me great hope for the future. Why? Because the galaxy just became a much safer place. You have the wisdom to choose peace and we have the strength to defend it. Together we can build something better than either of us could create alone. Thisara's crystal body rang with a happy harmonic note. Welcome to the galaxy, Captain Chen. Thank you, Ambassador. And welcome to the protection of Earth's children. As Chen walked out of the chamber, she carried with her the hopes and dreams of 8 billion humans who had always wondered what was among the stars. Now they knew they had found friends. Thank you for